Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem amma ba'd. So there are a few slides left. We are actually discussing the theory of property. So earlier we talked about the importance of property al-mal, and we discussed the definition of property, which is al-mal. Then we started talking about the classification of property. So we started talking about the first classification, which was based on the value of property according to Sharia. So we talk about the valuable and non-valuable properties, and we also talk why actually we are talking about valuable, because of the consequences, right? So we talked about the validity of the contract, and also we talked about the compensation if in case someone destroyed the valuable or non-valuable property. Then we move into talking about the movable and immovable. So we already talk about what is movable according to Maliki, and then what is a movable and immovable according to Hanafi. So now we just wanted to talk about the consequences, why we exactly talking about the movable and immovable, because the first consequences is actually the right of preemption. So this is the preemption called shufa'a, which means this is something that it is something exclusive. It is only that our religion, in Islam, is the only religion which actually utilize this, which actually uses this, which means if you are selling your property to before you announce to the market, you have to ask your neighbor, you have to ask your neighbor land. Okay, you have to ask him whether are you interested in buying my land or my house. Let's say you have a partner, you are a partner in a land, and one partner wants to sell his property, but before he sell his property to others, you have to ask your partner first whether do you want to buy it, of course for the market price. All right, so why we have to do this? Right, because you are free to sell wherever you can, because you will be thinking about selling it for the profit margin. But why is that there is a right, it is called a shufa'a? Because this is because because this is to safeguard, it's like a protecting the rights. Why? Because if there is a new guy comes in, right, someone that he is not, someone that your neighbor is not familiar with, someone that your partner is not familiar with, it will be very difficult for him to handle with it. Because when someone is a partner, rather than having a new partner, if he is willing to have a new partner, is okay, but you have to ask him first. The similarly goes to the house as well, because when your neighbor is capable of buying the house, better you give him the chance to buy. If he cannot, that is okay. Again, it is to safeguard, protect the neighborhood. This is what we call, we have the great neighborhood relationship ever. You see, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam always and always ask everyone to make sure that your neighbor is good. I mean, your neighbor is not poor. Your neighbor is, he needs something, you have to go and help. Make sure that you don't eat alone while your neighbor is starving. So he said that whatever that you are doing, make sure that you share with your neighbor. This neighborhood, it is something amazing in Islam. Prophet ﷺ said this once. He said, um, the importance when Jibreel, the angel, the Ruh, came down and talking to him, telling him about the rights of neighbor. Prophet ﷺ said the way that he was.
Assalamualaikum salam.
Walaikum salam. Yes, Fatima, come in, welcome. So the moment that Ruh and the Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam was talking about the importance of neighbor, Prophet ﷺ said, I thought Jibreel will tell that neighbor is also a part of inheritance. You know, he will be inherited. He could become one of the partners of inheritance, but which is not. But Prophet ﷺ said the way that Jibreel was giving the importance to the neighbor, I was thinking maybe he could say that your neighbor will become partner of your inheritance, but which is not there, because the neighbor will never be, will not going to become the partner. But at the same time, we have to make sure that our neighbor, our neighbor, if he needs something, we should be there, because the opposite is happening most of the time. What happened that we never know who is my neighbor. We never go out and see, we never say salam, we never say hi. We don't know what's going on, because you see, this is our social life is actually stopping. This is where we don't expand our society. We just go there, go home, go office, go home, go to university. This is not actually right way of doing. If I'm not connected with my neighbor, how am I supposed to be connected with my society? If I'm not connected with my society, how am I supposed to become a social person, right? So this is where every one of us should think about it and then act upon it. Yeah, that's the reason why you can see that this is the right of the preemption. Shufa is defined as the right of co-owner to substitute himself for the purchaser if the other co-owner decides to sell his share. Islamic law gives right of preemption in cases of individual property. The second one is actually the bankruptcy, for example. When someone is
Uh,
bankrupted.
so,
Yes.
sorry to cut you off.
Ah, yes,
Uh,
Leon. Go ahead, go ahead.
Actually, I want to ask regarding the right of the preemption. So, can I say that if today I'm going to buy a land with
Mhm.
my partner, which is Ali, and I
Okay.
already buy it, and my neighbor is Ahmad. But
Okay.
after 2 years, I'm going to sell my land. So I need to
Mhm.
ask for permission from Ali and also my neighbor Ahmad first. If both of them are agreed, then I
No,
just
because you see, there is two things, different things. One is, when I said, because when you are partner in something, your partner is your neighbor. You don't have to add one more neighbor for it.
oh
Exactly. Your partner is your neighbor. That's it. But when you are the single owner of the land, then your neighbor landowner will become your neighbor, of course, right?
yes.
Exactly. Two things, two different things to talk about.
Also,
Yeah,
actually, the meaning of the partner is also the neighbor lah. So we just
exactly,
focus on the partner lah.
exactly. For example, you have share, right? For example, you are running a business, and then both of you are running a business, and then suddenly you needed money, and then you want to sell your partnership, right? So,
Yes.
so this is the right moment to exercise the shufa'a, right? Because rather than you sell your share to third person, you ask your partner first. I need money. I'm willing to sell my partnership, but I'm asking you first, which is actually not happening nowadays. That's why this is important, because this is to bring the harmony among the people, right? So rather
Yes.
than selling it for somebody, and then of course your neighbor will feel bad. I mean, not neighbor, sorry, your partner will feel bad because you bring somebody, and then somebody don't know, right? I mean, we are not so sure how what he is going to do, and how he is going to handle things, things like that lah. So that's the reason why Islam says you have to ask your partner first. Okay,
Sir,
similarly, yeah.
so in conclusion, can I say that if today I'm going to sell something, so I need to ask my partner first, either he want to buy or not. If he
Exactly.
really don't want to buy, I just sell them to other people.
Exactly. You can sell it to anybody. The same similarly goes to house as well. You don't you see for example, you are selling your house, and then you have your neighbor, because now you are the single owner of your house. You have your neighbor. Definitely, before you go to the market, you will ask neighbor that do you want to buy my house, because I'm going to sell my house. Definitely, most of the cases the neighbor won't have money, but it is a courtesy to ask most of the time. But it doesn't mean that you need your neighbor permission to sell. You understand? You don't need your permission. You don't need your neighbor permission to sell your house. It's not. It doesn't work that way. It's not that strict. You know, without your permission, I mean your neighbor permission, you can actually sell it to anybody. But the thing is, here shufa'a rights means your neighbor, if he is willing to buy the house, then he must be given the priority, right? So it doesn't mean that whoever the neighbor wants to sell the house, you should sell the house. For example, neighbor will say, no, no, I'm not willing to buy, but I want you to sell your house to him. You know, sometimes they may say, but that's not right. He cannot dictate to you to whom to sell. But if he is willing to buy, he can buy. So this is the thing, lah. These are the things. But don't worry, the things will come again. The shufa'a, I will explain you more in some other chapters also covers the same topic. This is number 2. The other consequences is actually bankruptcy, right? So if there is a bankruptcy, someone was not able to pay back the loan. Now usually what happens, the bank will take his movable items, not immovable. Remember, because immovable is something like a security for the person. So whatever the movable property, that could be sold so that he actually can pay back to the bank. The same thing goes to guardianship. A guardian cannot sell a minor's immovable property except for settling the minor's debt or for his essential needs. You know, if someone is a guardian for a minor, a guardian is not allowed to sell any immovable property. He can only sell movable property. And that also selling movable property also for the sake of the minor's education, the minor's medical, or some other cases. All right, so these are the consequences. So you need to understand why we are talking about movable, immovable based on the consequences. Then you have number 3, based on similar and dissimilar property. Similar is mithli, homogeneous, and dissimilar is actually non-homogeneous. Okay, what I mean by homogeneous? Homogeneous is something that you can always get in the market, similar things. For example, money, rice, wheat, corn, barley, salt, oil, everything, all these called homogeneous, or you can call it similar properties. So these are the properties. Most of the time you have these 4 types of them. Something that weighable, something that's measurable, something that countable, and also a measurement. Like for example, we call it weighable, means for example gold and silver. Measurable means what, like grain and oil. Countable means like numbers like ma'dudat, eggs and orange. Then you have something like a measurement, we call it meters, fabrics and carpets. So these are the things, something that always available in the market. It is called homogeneous property. And another thing is dissimilar, non-homogeneous property. In Arabic we call qimi. The property is, for example, there is nothing like that. You cannot find exactly the same in the market. It's not exactly the same. It will be like something, but it will be different, not exactly the same. They include properties. Any properties, you cannot have exactly the same property, right? For example, in fact, land, houses, animals, trees, precious stones, yeah, gems and diamonds, those things. For example, used cars. Remember, brand new car is actually homogeneous property. Brand new car, homogeneous. But used car, it's not. Brand new book, Brand new printed book is the homogeneous. But if someone used that book, then it is not homogeneous. Handwritten books and etc. will become non-homogeneous. Yeah. Okay, now why we are talking about this homogeneous and non-homogeneous? Because homogeneous, it is called obligation, meaning dain, and non-homogeneous, it is called ain. I tell you why we talk about this, why we talk dain and ain. Okay, dain means what? Dain means something that indebted, something that obligatory, meaning when I borrow from you 1 kilo of sugar, I can return back to you 1 kilo of sugar, but not necessarily it has to be the same 1 kilo of sugar. Am I right? Because I borrow sugar because I want to consume it. Is it possible for me to give you back the same sugar? Not possible, right? But if I if I borrow from you your motorbike, if I borrow from you your house, then definitely I will use it. Then I will return back to you the same motorbike. Let's say, for example, the book. I borrow a book from you, your book. Definitely I will use it and I have to return back. So this is called ain. Ain means exactly the same. Ain means what? Exactly the same. That's why non-homogeneous, it is called ain, exactly the same. And dain, from D. Dain means something similar, something that you can actually always return back, something you can pay back. For example, dain means paying back. Meaning, let's say I borrow from you 1,000 ringgit. Now I have to pay you back 1,000 ringgit, right? Will I pay you back the same 1,000 ringgit with the same serial number? No, it will be different serial numbers, but it means I'm paying back you 1,000 ringgit, but not exactly the same 1,000 ringgit. So it is called payback, means dain. Okay. In contrast, ain means what? A non-homogeneous property. It is itself is the subject of the contract, as it is a specific and unique thing. For example, when a house or a car is sold, it is a specific house or a car, and not any house or car. According to Hanafi, salam contract involves generic property such as rice and or wheat. Istisna, in contrast, they argue, involves a specific property item to be made or manufactured, such as a particular house or car. Okay, these are the contracts. Most probably you will learn this in FIC 2. Right now you are learning FIC 1. In FIC 2, there is a contract as salam. Salam means you pay in advance and then you get something. And then you have istisna, meaning to say it is also another contract, meaning you order something to make for you something. For example, you want to build house, you pay first, and then you ask someone to build house for you. So these things will come under istisna. And when you want someone, you pay first, and then let's say I pay you in advance, so you supply 10 kilo of sugar next week. So this one will come under salam. So salam and istisna, it's based on homogeneous and non-homogeneous. You got it? Then you have number 3. Sorry, the second. Yeah, this is very important. The second one. Yeah, the second one is riba. The homogeneous. When you return the homogeneous items, whatever that you add when you return, or let's say someone asking you to add something, that additional part will become riba. This is also the reason why you are learning homogeneous and non-homogeneous. In non-homogeneous, it is not possible. But in homogeneous, it is possible. For example, I borrow from you 1 kilo of sugar. The next week, I said, okay, when you return, make sure you return 1 kilo and 200 gram of sugar. So I'm asking you to return 1 kilo. At the same time, I'm asking you to add 200 more. Similarly, another example, I order you, you gave me 1,000 ringgit. After that, after 1 week, you say, okay, when you return back 1,000 ringgit, make sure that you add 100 ringgit. So 1,100 ringgit. So now that 100 ringgit or that 200 gram of sugar, it is called riba. You need to understand here why it is riba, because these are the things, the homogeneous properties. The homogeneous properties, whatever the additional thing that I pay back, it is actually something that I'm paying you for using the product. But while I'm using the product, I'm not keeping your product, I'm consuming your product. Okay, for example, when I borrow from you 1000 ringgit, or when I borrow from you 1 kilo of sugar, I consume it, I finished it, then I have to give you back 1 kilo of sugar or 1000 ringgit. Meaning the thing that you gave me, whether it is a sugar or 1000 ringgit, it is a perishable. What I mean by perishable, which is actually the next consequence, the classification. Perishable means something that it's no more, perished. It is not used, it is perished. Similarly, if you give me your motorbike and then I borrow your motorbike, and then you can actually tell me, okay, you take my motorbike, but when you return my motorbike, make sure that you pay 10 ringgit extra, 10 ringgit, or you make sure you pay back my motorbike together with 50 ringgit. Now this thing, it is called ijara, which means rental. So you need to understand now, renting is possible on non-homogeneous product. Renting, it is not possible on homogeneous product. I repeat again, when a bank is actually giving you the loan, they actually renting the money to you. Renting, they are actually on the basis of rental. They are renting the money to you. That's the reason why they are collecting the interest from you. But in Islam, renting money is haram. Renting money is haram because money is a homogeneous product. Similarly, renting sugar is haram. Renting anything, because anything is perishable, it is prohibited. That's the reason why when someone asks extra, it is called riba. So now read the thing, you will understand. Any additional amount charged on the borrower of money is considered ushuri, while it is permissible if an owner of non-homogeneous property, such as an used car, may charge the borrower for the use of these properties. Homogeneous properties are usually considered ribawi properties. When they are exchanged, there must be equality of weight and on the spot transaction. If they are different kinds of equality if they are different kinds, equality is not a condition, but delivery must be immediate. Okay, now try to understand this. And also number 3, then go back to perishable, this one. Okay, when you come to this perishable, you will understand more. Then you can you may have, if you have any questions, you can ask me. So now you see, we talked about the second consequences, which means the riba. Riba is the second consequences. That's the reason why we are talking about homogeneous and non-homogeneous. Then for number 3 is actually compensation. This is the third consequences why we are talking homogeneous and non-homogeneous. If a homogeneous property is destroyed, a person is obliged to compensate it with a property similar to it. So let's say if I borrow 1 kilo of sugar and then somehow I destroyed it, of course I have to pay you back the same 1 kilo of sugar. But if I took something from you which is non-homogeneous, and then I destroyed it. I borrow your watch and then I destroyed it. Maybe special watch, maybe, we don't know. I borrow your used car and I destroyed it. So now the price has to be paid, because we don't know now how do we determine the price. Of course, you need to ask the person from who you borrow the thing. Then you have to settle and then consider what is the price can be paid, because this non-homogeneous, it is not exactly available in the market. The similar used car cannot be found. The same animal you cannot find. The gem that you borrow, you cannot find exactly the same in the market. Even the house also, you cannot exactly find the same house in the same length and the same land and the same quality. You cannot find it. That's the reason why if someone destroyed it, in order to compensate, the price has to be paid. But when it comes to homogeneous, it's okay. You can actually pay back exactly the same thing in the market. Okay, now let me give you the fourth consequences, because this is also something similar to similar to homogeneous and non-homogeneous, except here we are talking about usable and perishable. It's similar. So here again, we will repeat the same thing that we discussed earlier, then you will understand more. What means usable? Usable means the isti'mali property is a property that would remain even after it is used, such as land, car, clothes, books. Now don't get confused. Usable property exactly like homogeneous property. Then only the name is different. Sorry, non-homogeneous. Usable means what? Non-homogeneous. Perishable means, perishable property is a property which does not survive once it consumed. For example, food, water, petrol, paper, money are considered perishable properties, as they could not be used once. Because once you used it, it is gone. Now, let me come back to that. Perishable properties are most of the time is homogeneous property. While dealing with these properties, it is necessary to observe certain conditions in order to avoid the possibility of riba. Now, the concept of riba that I told you earlier, which is actually more suitable in this classification of usable and perishable property. Now come, when you have, okay, what are the consequences? Okay, this is the thing that I told you earlier. I'm going to repeat again. This is the first consequences. Of course, we are talking about, the riba. So now, when it comes to perishable properties, cannot be rented out. These properties can only be used only once. Therefore, Islamic law prohibits renting these properties. But it is allowed to lend or borrow these properties. And while lending these properties, any condition for additional return is considered usuri. So this is where actually we say any perishable property that you are asking to pay back extra, additional thing, it is called actually riba. Thus, a person may charge another for the use of his house, usable, while he cannot charge him for the use of his money, perishable. Here you need to understand how much difference, how different it is. Because house is a house, even though I used it for 1 month. When I go out from the house, I am returning the same house to you. Exactly the same house. But still, I used your house. For that reason, when I used your house, definitely, when I use it, definitely, I am enjoying your house. At the same time, the house also, getting some sort of what do you call it, because maybe the house may need or may require some repair after I leave the house. I stay in your house for 1 month. Definitely, I used to have your house. Definitely, there is a cost for staying in that house. So for that reason, I'm paying you the rental, right? But when I borrow money from you, actually, you can actually argue the same. What is the difference? But the thing is, this is the basic reason why riba is haram, because money is not a commodity. In Islam, this is the basic and fundamental difference between conventional and Islamic banks. Conventional bank all over the world consider that money is a commodity. Therefore, money can be rented out. Therefore, interest is permitted. But in Islamic economics, in Islamic banking and finance, money is not a commodity. Therefore, you cannot rent out the money. Therefore, additional is considered riba, and this riba, which is interest, is haram, prohibited. All right. Okay. Now you see, it is because when a house is rented, it is certain that a tenant would get benefit or usufruct from the house, right? Money, on the other hand, has to become the part of an enterprise and combined with efforts. So now you may be asking me, money also can become commodity. For example, I give you 100,000 ringgit, you actually can get the usufruct from the money. For example, you give me 100,000 ringgit, I use that money for business, and then I gain from the business. You can argue with me saying that yes, money also can become the commodity, but I want you to understand the difference. You can say, for example, when you give me your house and then I use your house and then I pay you back the rental. Now you give me your money, 100,000 ringgit, I use your money and then I pay you back the rental. It looks like same, but there are differences. The most important difference, when you give me your house and then I use it and then I return back house to you, I am actually returning back house to you. The house is going to be there. There is no problem with that. There is no problem with that because the house is going to be there. The house is not going to be lost. The house is not going to be destroyed. The house is there. I just need to return the house to you and then give you back, give you some rental. But when you pay me 100,000 ringgit, definitely I have to pay you 100,000 ringgit. There is no doubt. But now you are not only asking me 100,000 ringgit, you are also asking me additional 10%. Now, when I borrow from you 100,000 ringgit, can you guarantee me or give me a warranty that definitely I will win? Definitely I will get the profit? Because money will become a part of an enterprise, and money is always within the possibilities of profit and loss. You may gain, you may lose. So we are in between because money is, that's the reason why money is not a commodity. Because if a commodity means commodity is always there, but money is not like that. Money, when it comes, when I use it, there's a probability is there that I might lose. So when I lose, definitely I'm going to pay you back the money that I borrow from you. There is no doubt. I'm not going to run away. I have to pay you back. But now, when you are asking me the additional payment, the additional 10%, which will become burden to me, that's the reason why Islam prohibits to go for the riba. But at the same time, what if I gain from the money? What if I gain from the money? Then I can actually consider as a murabaha or musharaka. That's the reason why Islamic banks and Islamic finance are going with this murabaha and musharaka, meaning only if there is, we become partners. When I use your money, 100,000 ringgit, we agree that we become your partner. If there is a profit, then we will actually when there is a profit, we will share the profit. But when there is a loss, we don't share the loss, but you will get your money. All right. So this is how Islamic finance is coming out from this problem. This is how they actually looking into looking into non-interest based financial system. All right. Therefore, Islamic law allows the profit and loss sharing contracts of musharaka and mudaraba and money. It also permits lending qard, which is lending with no return to creditor, but not renting money, because renting money is actually usuri. All right. Okay. Before I go to number 5, do you have any questions regarding this, whatever I told you just now?
Sir.
Hmm.
And
Go
actually,
ahead.
I'm quite confused about the homogeneous and the non-homogeneous. So based on my understanding, can I say that actually the homogeneous is something like I only can use for once,
Yeah.
and when I consume it, it already gone.
Yeah.
Like I already consume the 1 kilogram of the sugar that I borrow from you. Hence, I totally cannot pay you back the same sugar, right?
Yeah.
I need to buy another 1 kilogram of the sugar. But
Yes.
it is still same the 1 kilogram of the sugar, but it's not the original one that you
Exactly.
borrow from you. So this is
Exactly.
like the homogeneous property, right? And for the non-homogeneous
Mm.
property, it's something like the house that I already use,
Mm.
because the house I already use is
Mm.
definitely not the new one.
Mm.
So it cannot substitute to another house or what, because this house is already used by me. So
Yeah.
it's something like a special one, right? But
Exactly.
if uh, I rent my house to someone, so he totally can pay me back he can return me the same house, because the house it's not like the sugar, right? It can it's a physical thing.
Exactly.
So, so in this condition, if someone is use my non-homogeneous thing, like
Mm.
the book I already use, or
Mm.
the motorbike I already use, or the
Mm.
car, also the house. So
Mm.
if they want to pay me back, but definitely they want to pay me back the house and also the motorbike lah. So
Mm.
in this condition,
Mm.
they still have to pay some benefit uh, beside the house, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in these cases, can I say that the benefit, although the benefit is money,
Mm.
actually the money is called the riba. We cannot call the rent.
Mm.
Am I right?
Correct, correct. You understood correct. You see here, to make it very simple, because I know you don't have to get confused with homogeneous and perishable, and then you have non-homogeneous and used. See, because just now I talked to you. You see, this is number 4, based on surviving, usable, and perishable. Then you have here number 3, which is based on the similarity, similar and dissimilar. So to make it very simple, homogeneous means something that in something that available in the market exactly the same. Anything, that is the word. Even the literally speaking, homogeneous means what? Something that always available in the market. That's why they call it similar product, right? Today most of the thing is actually homogeneous. So when it comes to non-homogeneous, it is something in the market, but it is not, you cannot get the same thing in the market. For example, you want to buy a goat. Yes, you will get a goat in the market, but not exactly the same goat, not with the same characteristic, not with the same weight, not with the same height, not with the same taste, not with the same milk. Or so, you can say that's why we call it non-homogeneous. So now homogeneous and non-homogeneous should be understood in terms of the look, the way it is look like. So you have similar look, you have a dissimilar look. Okay, when you go to number 4, it is about the what they call it, it is about the content of that product. Is it that the content of the product, is it usable or perishable? All right, so think about in that way. For example, sugar, of course sugar is a homogeneous, at the same time it is also perishable, because sugar from outside looking, from external, it is a homogeneous product, but from the internal it is also a perishable product, because you have to consume it. Once you consume it, it is gone. That's why we call sugar, oil, all kind of food, water, petrol, pepper, including the currency that you have, it is actually perishable. The money will gone. The moment that you spend it, it is gone. So now the usable means, of course, it looks like a non-homogeneous from outside, but inside it is a usable thing. For example, house or your land or your motorbike or your book, you know, all these things actually usable. So now whatever that you have usable, when you go into transaction, you can actually rent out the usable items, but you cannot rent out your perishable items. Because when you, the reason why, because when you are renting out the perishable, you are not actually going to get exactly the same perishable thing. But when you are renting your usable items, when you are renting it, you are going to get back the item, the usable item. At the same time, you can actually charge ijara, which is actually renting. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So it means, so what I understand from why money is not a commodity, because money is not guaranteed 100% is with us, right? Because it can be loose, right? Can be lost due to
Yes.
several transaction, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Because you see, because the characteristic of money is not something that always stand like your house, always stand like your motorbike. There's a probability that, you know, the money might go and then never come back. There's a probability that, you know, the money can be used for some purpose and then you lose it. Because why? Because it is an enterprise. Because money, it is the part of enterprise, and then when it comes to entrepreneurship, there is always the probability of profit or loss. You might profit one day, you may profit one day, you may lose. So now, if I ask someone to pay back with extra money, let's say I give you 100,000 and I ask you to pay 10%. There's a probability that it might be difficult for you, because if you didn't get the profit, how you are supposed to pay me back? That's the reason why it is called riba. And then the money has no any characteristic to even today. It's worse today. At least last time it was backed by gold. The money was backed by gold. Today there is no money is backed by gold. Even worse, because today even the currency, you don't know what's going to happen. You see what happened to the ringgit Malaysia 2 years ago, and today what it is, right? Same goes to rupiah, same goes to rupees, or same goes to, you know, euro and US dollar. We don't know anything, because because the wallet, what they call it, the wallet, volatility, the characteristic of the currency, right? It might go down any time. If there is anything wrong happen, even the election change, the people change, the money change as well. So that's the reason why you can see that the banks and people like having money, they are gaining money again and again and again. They have become richer and richer, because it is a good business for them. Because that's why interest is a great business in many countries. But what happened, because of that, many poor people suffered. I think they are still suffering. People who, for example, you can see that people who took loans, they are not being able to pay back. Who even the government gave us to pay, not to pay for 6 months. I think, if you remember, for the COVID-19 situation, but still they have to pay. The government didn't say that you don't have to pay. The government said you can pay, but you can delay in paying, which is actually delaying. Because 6 months, for example, when it is including me, you know, cars and houses, you know, we cannot pay. People, they don't have the salary, they don't have to pay for 6 months. But it doesn't mean that the loan has been deducted or exempted. For example, last time they pay for 5 years. Now they have to pay 5 years 6 months. This 6 months is actually is been is an addition. It's not something that if you ask your parents, they will know. They will know, definitely. They will tell you. It's an addition. They have to pay, of course, because you took loan. You have to pay. But the problem is we don't know. You can see how many business shut down because of COVID-19. You can see in your surrounding how many shop already shut down. They took loan, but they were unable to pay back. Even they cannot pay their rental, their shop rental. So now this is the reason. Now if you ask them to pay your loan, at least they can pay. But how if you ask them to pay extra? How, from where they are going to pay? So this one will create unnecessary responsibility. I mean, it will create it will create what? Chaos. It will create kind of uncomfortable, and because of that people get people psychologically also affected, religiously also they affected. That's why the one who collect interest, they will be very happy to collect, because for them to just collect, and it is easy money to make. Today is the easy today you have 100,000 ringgit, the easy business for you. Everybody will say, okay, go for financing, go for giving the loan. That's the reason why you will see everywhere what is it, pinjaman. You will see that, okay, we pay you, we give you 10,000 ringgit, you have to pay 1,000 for 12 months. They are ready to pay you. So now so when I see, oh, someone is offering me 10,000 ringgit, it looks like he's actually he's actually a very good help to me. Someone may think that is a god, because 10,000 ringgit, offering 10,000 ringgit, but you are paying 1,000 ringgit, okay, but you are not paying for 10 months, you are paying for 12 months, which means that the additional 2,000 ringgit is actually riba you are paying, which is actually easy money for him. Do you think that the person who offer you 10,000 ringgit, do you think that you are the only person who took 10,000 ringgit? There are 1,000 people like you. There are 1,000 people like you who took 10,000 ringgit from him. So now 1,000 times 10,000, how much is it? Million, right? So if it is million ringgit, if someone can make million in 1 year, how much he can make? 1.2 million. So now he can make money like that, easy money for him to, this is the reason why in Islam renting money is haram. Okay, so don't worry, we will be reading this again and again. There will be some other yes, go ahead.
Sir, so can I ask, actually the meaning for the riba actually is kind of the interest, right? But we
Yeah.
don't call it interest, we call it riba.
Yeah.
But for the riba, like today, I'm borrow the some property like non-homogeneous, which like I want to rent a car from a
good.
company lah. I want to use this car for some purpose. So after I use it, I definitely need to pay the renting money, right?
Yes.
Rental charges. But this I don't call the rental charge. I call it riba.
No, you mean when you are using the non-homogeneous,
Yes.
the renting is not actually riba. It is not riba.
Oh, riba. Oh, no, sir. Sorry. I said that a riba is actually for some, like, if today I have profit, so I need to pay back. I need to pay you, and with some additional benefit. That
Interest.
Benefit.
Riba mean interest, Leon. Riba today in modern English it is called interest. It is in old English it is called usuri.
Oh.
Today, that's why I know it's quite shocking to you, but the interest is actually
So
haram
it's
in
not
Islam. Yes, Fatima.
Mubaraba mean like
Mm.
it mean like if
Mm-hmm. So do you understand, Leon? Interest is what we call today riba. But there's
So
just so many forms of interest. I think, don't worry, you just started learning. I think there will be more discussion will come. In fact, in FIC 2, when you are learning FIC 2, I think most probably the entire semester is going to talk about this interest.
sorry sir, Mubaraka mean like a guaranteed thing, alright? If you
Again, what is it, Fatima? I didn't get it.
Mubaraba mean guarantee.
Oh, guarantee.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what about guarantee? Yeah.
I'm asking you if it mean like guarantee you guarantee something from the bank or from the customer before you buy it.
Okay, yes. Okay, what is it about it? How it is related to this?
No, I'm just asking if it's guaranteed thing or not.
Yeah, but guarantee, of course, but it's okay, Fatima. We are not discussing about guarantee here. Most probably, there is a separate chapter for it. We will discuss about it. Yeah. Okay, Fatima.
Okay.
Okay.
uh,
So yes, Leon.
um because just now I heard that sir, you said we receive the interest from some lending or borrowing actually is prohibited. But now why you like sir said riba is acceptable?
No. Riba is of course not acceptable. Riba is haram, prohibited.
Oh. Oh.
Okay, riba is prohibited. But when you have the usable or non-homogeneous property, it is allowed to renting the non-homogeneous property. For example, your house. So when you are renting your house and you are taking some money for it, it is not called riba, it is called renting, or you can call in Arabic, it is called ijara. Okay, ijara means renting or leasing. Okay, but when it comes to money, just money, I borrow from you 100,000 ringgit, and then when I return to you, if you are asking me to pay 10% extra, that 10% extra, if you are asking me, which is actually riba. In Islam, it is called riba. Now, of course, the justification can be given. You might be saying, I gave you the money, it's like a renting. I gave you the money, it's like a renting my car or renting my house. But in reply, we will say, money cannot be rented out. Because in Islam, money is not a commodity. Money is not a commodity. Because the houses, the other things are commodity. Anyway, so this is what we are trying to understand what exactly riba is. That's the reason why in Islamic finance, there is no interest. If you look into Islamic banks and Islamic finance, Leon, they never charge interest. And that's how they run business, they run everything in Malaysia, especially in Malaysia and some other Muslim countries. These are the Islamic banks we have, Islamic finance we have, where we don't deal with riba. Don't worry, you will learn this slowly, and then you will see this slowly. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
in conclusion, can I say that the money can be charged in the non-homogeneous? Actually, we call that like renting only. It's not a riba.
It's not
But
riba.
if something like a riba, like I borrow you the, if I'm not talking about the money, I'm talking about the like I borrow you the sugar or anything like sugar lah. I use sugar. So after you use and you want to pay me back,
Yeah.
I order you. You must pay me another 1 kilogram of sugar. So in this condition, can I say that actually this we
It's
call that
riba.
riba.
Exactly. This is riba. This is riba. This is interest. Okay.
Okay,
Very
okay,
good.
okay.
Now
So
you
I
understood correctly. Okay. Okay.
understand. Okay.
Okay. Yes, Ramadan. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Is the riba applicable also not only in ringgit, rupiah, rupees, and so on, but also in cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and so on?
Yes, everywhere. Because a riba, the definition by definition, it can go to anything. Even
Okay.
tomorrow, if they say cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, anything.
Okay, sir.
Anything. It started from dinar, dirhams. Today we have fiat money, cash money, paper money, and tomorrow we are going to have digital money. The riba is everywhere is available.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
Okay. So now number 5 and 6 is very simple. There is no consequences. We just talk about only based on cash, nuqud, and based on goods. So nuqud means refers to all the currencies, for example, like gold, silver, currencies, and everything. And then goods means what? Is something that what we call urud means goods. Like example of urud are silk or cotton, cloth, watches. For example, urud means commodity. Let's say commodity. So you have currency, you have commodity. This is what we have number 5. Number 6 is also quite important because it is based on intellectual property, not something that you can see. It is intangible property. For example, your outcome of your research. For example, your trademark, your design, your inventions, even your article, paper, right? For example, your screenplay. For example, you are writing a story for a movie. Your screenplay, your story also can become intellectual property, right? And intellectual property work as such is the property of the one who made it, as he has the right to benefit from his labor. This right is protected by law, and others cannot take and use a certain property without its owner's permission. All right. Protection of intellectual property means that no one else should duplicate it without its author's permission. That's why we cannot duplicate certain things without permission. If a person who has bought disc or book, he has the right to sell the same disc or book, but he has no right to copy the disc or book to sell it. This is also true. You bought a software for certain money, certain amount of money, and then you use it. You can actually sell your software to somebody like a resale, but you cannot make a copy and then sell. Copy and then sell it, copy and then sell it, which is actually not correct. Making the copies of from one. This is what they call it. For example, you bought a book for 100 ringgit, and then you started selling that book for 20 ringgit, but it is in the photocopy version, which is actually a kind of injustice to the author or injustice to the publisher. That's why you are allowed to sell your book as it is. Let's say you bought it for 100 ringgit and you want to sell for 70 ringgit after you use, it's okay. But you cannot sell that book into copies. Yeah. Protection of intellectual property gives the inventor a proper incentive to improve and develop it. It may also encourage others to contribute to different